Hey, what's up and hello? This is the Chris Nicole giving you my views on life, love, and the world of entertainment through my eyes. Good evening, good afternoon, good morning, depending on what time you are watching this live. Hello. Hey, Vanna. Hey, Nene. Hope all is well. Hope all is well. I am sure, especially for the OG crew, y'all probably like, man, Chris. Nicole, you are definitely bringing the lives this week and the videos this week. I am, but some of these videos are because all of the nonsense keeps coming out. Truths are coming out. People are getting exposed left and right, and we are just in mid-February, people. Okay? We literally are just in mid-February. Tomorrow is Valentine's Day, and happy early Valentine's Day for people. Happy Love Day. But baby, today, there ain't no love. And I'm just going to say trigger warning now because this may get really personal. This may get really sensitive. Okay. But I definitely want to, hey Shayla, hey Teef, hey Tashonda, definitely hit the like button on your way in. I want to definitely talk about this situation because I truly think Monique and Sydney are trying, they're really exposing themselves in a lot of ways, in my personal opinion. And I want to show this clip from her interview from Club Shay Shay. And interesting enough, just hear what Shannon has to say to her. Hear what he has to say. She's talking about her daddy in this.
He came to the other weddings. Okay? What? It was like my brother. This man, he was like my brother.
He been out hustling you for a minute, Mo.
You know, he wasn't.
You sure about that, Monique? You sure about that? Because let's get started. So what happened today? Well, Monique has an older son, and I think this is really bothering me because I have definitely been someone who has admired Monique since I first saw her on Moesha. I saw her on The Parkers. And then, of course, when the Queens of Comedy came out and she pretty much said skinny women are evil, you guys already know. I grew up a chunky girl, a thick girl in the dance world. So anytime there was always a thicker woman or whatever, chubby, fat, whatever you want to call it, that was doing their thing and was still able to be successful, I always applauded them because I know it is not easy. Okay. I've definitely admired Monique for a very long time. But while two truths can coexist, I still feel the way she was treated in the industry based on what she has constantly, consistently said. She definitely has every right to speak her truth. I just find it interesting that she's keeping a lot of her truths in her personal life away from us. And what do I mean by that? I am very aware that she had issues with her older son because she has mentioned that in interviews before. But damn. But oh, you Nivea. Hey, boo. Oh my gosh. Hey, girl. I was worried about you and I didn't know if you had social media pages. Hey, love. Hey, love. We'll definitely have to talk. I'm in my bag right now when it comes to this topic, but I'm glad to see you're well. Yeah, I'm sure. You have a whole tribe over there, girl. You have a whole tribe, but you know, he went in. He definitely, said, I guess, what needed to be said, but I'm going to be honest. I do find it interesting, the timing. I'm just going to be real. Y'all know how I am. I do find it interesting, the timing of him saying this. Okay. Monique has been campaigning about her rights and all of the things that she wanted to talk about for years. For years. He doesn't respond right after the Club Shay Shay interview, but I find it interesting that he decided to speak his piece a couple of days after DL Hughley went off. Especially after DL Hughley said, "How do you have sweet babies?" I think he kind of said, "How do you have sweet babies when your own family or your own kids aren't your sweet babies?" Or he said something of that effect. You know what I mean? So definitely, I find the timing is kind of making me question. It's making me question. I'm not going to even lie. Some people are even saying, I saw in some of the comments, some people said, who got to him? Who spoke to him? Who, look, you just never know. But if someone got to him, that doesn't mean what he's saying is not true. And the problem is that when she, and I can't even say Monique responded, it was more that daddy of hers that responded. She's always sitting there in Goo Goo Gaga world while he is talking, okay? And honestly, I know Monique is getting older, but in my opinion, Monique looks tired. Spiritually, she looks tired. Okay? She looks drained. And it has nothing to do with the gray hair, none of that. She just looks drained. I don't know about y'all, but that's my opinion. She looks drained. She really does. And the more and more that we saw Shalon and what they said, the more and more I'm like, well, this is why she got that damn Oscar. Like, this is why she got that Oscar and why she was able to play the hell out of that role. Because we're going to talk about childhood trauma and how a lot of the times the victim becomes the victimizer. Let's talk about it. The victim can sometimes become the victimizer. All right. But with that being said, Shalon, and I remember him. Hey, Jessica, what's up? Indigo, I'm so sorry, you guys. I'm talking. I'm so sorry. You know, I love y'all. Hello, hello, hello. I remember Shalon. If you guys have a good memory like me, when we used to watch the award shows, when she used to host the BET Awards, she brought Shalon on stage saying, you know, he was a king and, you know, talking to him and uplifting him. I don't know if you guys remember that, but she did. She did bring him up on stage, you know, pretty much saying, you know, my young king, I love you. She said that. All right. I remember him back in the day. Handsome young man. But after that, he kind of disappeared. And then we started hearing that Monique was saying that she doesn't have a great relationship with her older son. So with that, next thing you know, and I think it was maybe last night or this morning, he decides to come out and say how he feels about the situation. And it was triggering to a certain extent because I totally get him, because while I don't understand that perspective, I know that there's plenty of people in my family who I know Shalon's story. There's people in my family that have Shalon's story, where you have this mother who is trying their best to make it seem like they're doing all they can when they're really not. So with that being said, you said I have a good memory. Sometimes I do, especially people I admire, or those are like, you know, moments of like, oh, that's so sweet. Like, I remember those things. And again, I admire Monique. Like, Monique was always rooting for the big girl. So I definitely remember, you know, some of those moments. And she used to literally body the BET Awards. She was always good as far as her doing the BET Awards. But with that being said, let's listen to what he has to say. I'm going to have to, you know, sometimes play, pause, or whatever the case may be. But let me know if you guys can hear this. Check this out.
Hi, I am Shalon. I am a stand-up comedian, Monique's oldest son. I guess I felt the need to make this video to just provide some context into this false narrative about her praying to the universe in order to reconcile our relationship or whatever the hell it is. I wrote it all down so that way I don't go all over the place and get emotional or anything like that. So I'm gonna talk like I'm reading a script, but it's just gonna help me kind of stay together. But to address the Club Shay Shay interview that she did, where she states that she prays to the universe in regards to reconciling our relationship, as I stated, is odd. My mother and I both know that that is a very false narrative, and I would like to free her of having to continue telling that lie. Faith without work is dead, and neither one of us cares to put forth any effort to reconcile with the other. We are.
Now, he does say she doesn't want to reconcile, but he also doesn't want to reconcile. So he says it's on both sides. But he said faith without works is unalive. I can't say the word. So pretty much automatically that tells me what he's implying is while she's doing these interviews, she hasn't necessarily made the effort. Let me continue.
Separate, as she put it, because she doesn't care to be my mother any more than I care to be her son. Neither one of us has had the desire to reach out to the other in a very long time, and I don't think that either of us anticipates that feeling ever returning. Speaking with my mother directly, in my experience, will either lead to some odd newfound moment of clarity in regards to how she was as my mother, or she retreats back to daddy to move forward with a conversation. And I'm tired of hearing my mother's truths. Newsflash, I'm not sure if people know, but standing in your truth doesn't make you noble. I'm not sure if people are aware of that. But responding this way, I feel as though it allows me to say my piece uninterrupted.
You see how he said daddy? And I think he says daddy again in here. You see how he says daddy? He ain't feeling Sid. He's not feeling the husband who he's known his whole entire life. He's not feeling him. Just the way that he's saying it, I don't know if he just makes it seem like it's ridiculous that, you know, he doesn't like how his mom calls him daddy, but it's coming off like he really does not like him. He also says saying your truth or speaking in your truth doesn't make you noble. It doesn't make you noble. So that was quite interesting, him saying that. But with that being said, let me continue.
To those wondering, well, why say something now?
Right.
A form of therapy for me, I suppose. But when her daddy had intentionally stated that they have 3 sons, but his wife is on the internet talking about the 4th son in a video that has millions of views, that rubbed me the wrong way. But anyway, to inform a child that you are not interested in being a mother at a time when that kid is the only kid that has the potential to lead a child to believe that you are not interested in them specifically. But to take it a step further, you also admit, my mother had also admitted to me that she didn't do the best job that she could do, which would also make one begin to question, you know, all of your past decisions and prior emotional interactions. But to be completely honest and fair, you know, those were things that I was willing to get over. You know, nobody's perfect. We're all human. But my mother showed a clear lack of humility, compassion, and consideration when
Okay, so he's saying pretty much he was willing to get over the past, but she lacks humility. And he also talks about how she lacks accountability. Let me continue.
taking any level of accountability for those things. My mother does a fantastic job of acknowledging a lot of things, but she doesn't take accountability very well, and anything that she may take true accountability for, it's only at her convenience, in my experience. But if I had to guess, though, her interest in being a mother probably started around the time that she married her daddy and had his children. But that interest, obviously seemed one-sided. And as
heartbreak moment. He says she didn't become interested in becoming a mother until probably she married daddy and had his kids. Not before that, but the moment she had Sydney's kids, that's when she decided she wanted to become a mother. Heartbreaking.
this should have been. By that time, I'm in my late teens, so to some degree, the the neglect becomes easier to hide or validate. I guess you could say there are now 2 baby boys in the house, that require attention. But still, during that time, however, I still watched her enjoy the love and admiration of total strangers more than my own. To this very day, my mother has never expressed to me when, if ever, she became interested in me as her son. That did lead me down a path of questioning my self-worth and struggling to understand the value of a mother in a child's life. In the interview, she also states that she gave me an apology, but an apology to a son from a mother that consciously showed no interest in him holds no weight. There are still women to this day that my mother will give credit to for being more of a mother to me than she ever could. Her assistant, my cousin, being one of them. Every time, though, that my mother would state that she was right here whenever I was ready, that ideology still blows my mind today, that a person could openly admit to being an uninterested, not put my best foot forward type of parent and be so self-centered that they still express to the kid, you have to come to me when you're ready. You got to come to me for us to make this right.
Okay. With that being said, I definitely know people like that in my family. They are so self-righteous and they truly cause so much trauma in their child's life, but yet they want the child to make the effort. And unfortunately, I think a lot of people, when it's convenient, try to use the Bible quote as far as, you're supposed to respect your parents and all of that, but they forget there's another part in the Bible that says, you're not supposed to you're not supposed to treat your child in that way. Like you're not supposed to make your child angry. You're not supposed to mistreat your child. They definitely they forget that part. But with that being said, you have so many people who feel like, well, because I'm the parent, you have to make the effort. No, you're the parent and you're the one who messed up. Therefore, you should make the effort and continue to make the effort. And at the end of the day, I understand at a certain point, if the child doesn't want to be involved, you say, look, I'm still going to be here for you. Let's go to counseling or whatever. But the way that he's coming across, it appears Monique hasn't done that. Okay. She has not attempted to do that at all whatsoever. But what she has attempted to do and constantly does is throw money and material things in his face.
Okay. But I'm not sure what my mother could possibly think that she has shown me in the past or have for me now that's not money, goodness gracious, that would make me want to come to her or whatever those feelings are supposed to be. A mother is supposed to be the first woman that a boy falls in love with. I loved my mother very much, but my mother loved things more than she loved me, and she would validate her love for me by giving me things and would proceed to call me ungrateful or inconsiderate if said things did not have the desired effect.
Because Monique didn't know love herself. That's the problem. Like I've talked about before, trauma bonding. Monique doesn't know love. So this is why I have a problem with her daddy, because she looks at him like he is the best man that she's ever had in her life. Well, compared to who? Your father that she alleged was an alcoholic and didn't support her or protect her? Or like, so who are you comparing comparing men to, like, who is Cindy being Sydney? Look, who is Daddy being compared to? Because compared to what you claim the men around you, the way that they were, you may think he's good because you don't know no better. You don't know any better compared to what you grew up around.
I couldn't imagine what it's like to be her, though. To ask God for what you want, and then He gives you what you need, though, only for you to ignore it and have the audacity to ask God for something else. And I'm glad I don't. I'm glad I didn't do that. And when He told you no, you went to the universe instead. By no means, though, do I want to give off any type of an impression that I am a victim of anything. It's not the case. As you can see, I'm smiling from ear to ear. I'm alive. I'm happy. I'm a dad. I'm healthy, I think. I drink a lot of water. I'm getting over a cold now. I still have my days just like everybody else. And, there were a few things that she did teach me along the way. I did learn how not to love from my mother. I also learned to make sure that I never lose so much of who I am that I have to validate it through another person. And though I feel as though, in hindsight, I think she did it reluctantly, I do appreciate my mother, for showing me what the top of the mountain looks like. You know what I'm saying? It did give me perspective on what hard work and dedication can get you, but I don't want something like that at the cost of giving up something that I created. I don't want it that bad. And speaking of creations, I genuinely, truly, I really did want my mother to have a relationship with my daughter. I even fought through those intrusive thoughts that were, if she wasn't interested in you, what makes you think she's going to be interested in your kid? But it took my mother no time at all to prove that those intrusive thoughts were correct. But what I can say, good for her, the universe did, bless her with three other sons. And God willing, I'm sure that all three of them are adults now. So I'm sure that one of them, God willing, if not all three of them, will make her the grandmother that she wants to be. I still look forward, to that moment for her. But overall, when it comes to the boys, though, I am happy that whenever they do hear me talk, sorry, my phone did something weird, but whenever they hear me talk, they don't know what it is. They can't relate to what it is that I'm saying. My experience with my mother is not their experience with our mother. So my prayer for her and them is that they continue to see her the way that they see her now. I do also want to make sure that I say thank you to my mother for giving me life. Without that moment in time, I wouldn't have had my little one. But outside of that moment, there isn't anything that either of us has to offer the other. In my opinion, it's a waste of God's time and the universe's time for praying for something that you were not willing to put forth any effort to obtain. Putting the work into becoming Monique is more important to my mother than being my mother. And I do not believe that it was never about her being there and waiting for me, but it was supposed to be about me being there and waiting for her. My mother's value had reached such a low point in my life that I no longer found it necessary to either want to wait for her or even go to her. But like I said, man, I'm super grateful that she has the opportunity to do it all over again. I'm happy for her. I hope the Cat Williams tour goes well, but the narrative that she prays for us to reconcile is a false narrative. It's not real, not appreciated if she stops saying stuff like that.
All right, you guys. Yeah, it's hard to hear because while you can definitely tell that he has done some of the work, not necessarily completely healed, but he has done some of the work. Maybe therapy, maybe spiritual. He has I don't get angry from him. I do not. I just think that, while the timing may be off, it could be that this may have been Monique's biggest interview yet. because I want to say the Club Shay Shay interview is already over 10 million, if I'm not mistaken. So maybe it is because, like, okay, now you are going to even more of a bigger audience and you're talking this nonsense and it's just absolutely not true. He also mentions that she has no interest in allegedly being a grandmother. Okay. She's not interested in that either. But at the same time, wished her well. Also, hoping that, hey, the ones that you are willing to be your other sons, when they have kids, hopefully maybe you can be a better example or be a better grandmother. I think I like, exactly, Nivea, that it's not anger, it's acceptance, for it is what it is. Yeah, I think that's the case with him. I think that's the case. And so after hearing this, because of course this is the first thing that we heard today, I said, wow, like, first of all, I was shocked because, again, the last time I saw him, he was a young man and now he's a grown man with a child. But it just made me say, like, wow, Monique, you put so much energy in trying to expose these Hollywood elites. And yet your own son pretty much exposed you for not making an effort to try to redo the trauma that you put into his life and not being there. Like, it's just amazing to me that she will talk about the Oprahs, the Tyler Perrys, until she is blue in the face. But none of that effort seems to be the same when it comes to her oldest son. So, with that being said, of course, when that happened, everybody started talking about it. And then, of course, in true fashion, oh no, Monique was going to say something, but hell, it ain't even Monique. It's more so of her daddy that spoke and said what he had to say. So, let me sit up there and play that, and then we're really going to get into the nitty gritty. Let me know if you guys can hear it.
All right, we're going to wait for some of the babies to come in the room so we can have this conversation.
Yeah, she claims she calls out Oprah and Tyler for her babies. Which babies is she talking about? Because it damn sure ain't Shalon.
You would do that right now?
It's not that baby.
Hey, babies.
Look, you hear that? Hey, babies. Hey, my sweet babies.
We're just waiting for y'all to come on in the room so we can have this conversation with our community. What is that? Oh, we could. Let's rock and roll, baby.
Let's rock and roll.
Mm-hmm.
The title of our conversation, or the theme of it, is called The Long Way Around, because ain't no shortcuts. Pickles, stop playing with that paper, please.
Shut the hell up and get to it.
The reason
Sorry,
we're
y'all.
having it is a multitude of reasons, but we're going to start off with, there was a Instagram that was put up, or I guess
It was TikTok, baby.
TikTok that was put up by
My son. My oldest son, Shalon. And this is what I want to say to this. There are some people that are saying, oh, you should be ashamed of your mothering skills. You should be ashamed of yourself. This is what I'll say. Let's let it play out. Because the same ones that said to me, I was crazy, I was deranged, we watched it play out. So just like with my son, we'll watch this play out. And I do want to address this though, Shalon. When you say her daddy, then that's when mommy gonna say stop playing, because you know this has been Uncle Sid your whole life. Uncle Sid knew you before you knew you. So for you to say her 3 sons, yes, you're absolutely right. He has 3 sons. He can't claim you as his son because he's always been Uncle Sid, and he knows your daddy very well.
and love that brother. And the irony
Okay.
what is said, but what's
I'll
not.
let it continue.
Yes.
See, you're leaving off the fact that the last time we laid eyes on you, your mother got you everything you needed for the newborn baby about 3 years ago.
Material shit.
You're forgetting about how I, from Georgia, am talking you through getting your car after we gave you the half of the down payment for it. And you were 31 years of age, 32 years of age at that point. And I'm negotiating the deal with the dealer for you as you sit there.
Material
and you
shit.
have the vehicle you're driving right now because of your mother. These are the things that you're leaving out when you're expressing what you're expressing in reference to your mother. You're not expressing the relationship that you have with your father, where you spoke ill to him, not to mention spoke ill to your mother, but somehow your mother and father and I all have a loving relationship and communicate back and forth because of the love that we have for you. The one thing these individuals, and to the individuals out here that oftentimes speak after they've heard one side of the story, there's an old saying: believe half of what you see and none of what it is that you hear. Please don't take our word for it, but what we will convey is this. Those who are parents and have raised their parents up to being adults.
Your children. Raise their children up to being adults.
Right on. Those who are parents that raise their children into adulthood know that there comes a time and a place in which they determine their own decisions, their own path. You can have multiple children that are raised in one house, but they act and they take on different things.
Did she raise them though?
It's so important for us to entertain these conversations that we typically have privately, or that we're influenced to have privately amongst the people in our community, is because we need to stop being embarrassed about being human beings and about being Black human beings. You will oftentimes hear us saying we are embarrassing ourselves in front of them. Who is them?
Who are they?
Because when you hear someone articulate these things, that is the slave's mentality. That makes us believe that we as Black people need to conduct ourselves with dignity because white people are watching. You should conduct yourself with dignity because the spirit of you is watching.
Come on.
But we need to have these conversations out loud and taboo because we have a finite period of time together here on this earth. You will travel through infinity with the spirit that you have all alone, and you will not remember the ridicule that you receive, but you will be judging yourself. You will be
This preacher pimp
for
shit.
the rest of your life which way that you go as you have thus far. So this conversation is about speaking directly to what situations are. And many people oftentimes, when they are presented with an issue, they stay quiet, they hide, they disappear. And what we're saying is that's not who we are, because what you cannot do is you cannot trick an honest person.
Come on.
You can demean, you can say whatever you want to say about them negatively, but what will happen is truth has a way of standing the test of time. I forgot to have my phone to read the last text message that I gave to you, Shalom, where I told you about the understanding of how you are speaking to a woman and how you as a man and how you perceive things may be completely different from how your wife, how your mother, how your sister, how your daughter will look at things. And when you learn how to communicate a little bit better, then things will happen a little bit better.
Okay. Oh yeah, their whatchamacallit went out.
Young man, because of the challenges that this young brother has had with mental illness. So we're communicating that out loud to.
Okay, I'm done with this shit. Sorry, y'all. I'm done with this shit. Okay, let me start airing this shit out. Interesting that they always got proof with those recordings when it comes to Tyler Perry and everyone else, but you claim you forgot your phone to show these text messages that you claim are disturbing when it comes to Shalon. You want to provide proof any other damn time, but you so-called don't have these text messages. Furthermore, okay, what the hell does his mental health have to do with anything that he said? Why was that any of our business? Okay, that was not our business at all. But that is a great way to deflect based on what the hell he said. We did not need to know he suffered from any type of mental illness or mental health issues. And did it ever occur to you that maybe he is suffering from something like that because he had Monique as a mother? Hmm? Maybe the trauma of what he went through and not really having a mother in his life, and his mother was allegedly so concerned about being Monique the comedian versus being a mother that he experienced some trauma, some mental health issues because of it. Maybe, possibly. Furthermore, Monique, the first thing that you want to say is, Shalon, don't act like this is not your Uncle Sid. You've known Uncle Sid before you even knew who he was. You knew Uncle Sid. Uncle Sid knew you before you knew you. That's the first thing you want to say. That is the first thing that you want to say. Not first, let me start off by saying I love my son and we're going to get through this. No. You're going to say, don't act like you don't know my daddy and what you call my daddy. Don't act like Uncle Sid, you know him. Why would you even start off by saying that? Then he continues on to prove the point of the material things versus the emotional protection. He starts off by saying, your mother provided everything that your child needed. You at 31, 32 years old, as if he was trying to imply he don't know how to negotiate a car. I'm doing all of that for you. And your mother gave you money to put the payment down on the car. Do you understand how they are exposing themselves at this point? Because what does that have to do with anything that he said? And if you are the adults here and you are the mother and father figure or uncle figure, you saying all of that was supposed to do what? What was that supposed to do? Because it didn't make her look better. It did not make her look better at all whatsoever. It didn't. And I'm listening to this and I'm like, you sound like a preacher pimp. You sound like one of them dudes in jail, like Damon Wayans used to do on The Living Color, when they would be talking all of this mess about the principalities and all of the isms, and you be trying to figure out what the hell they talking about. That's the way it came off. Nothing to do with what he said, getting down to the facts of it. There was nothing about the love and support of him, and he wanted to say, oh, well, me and your father, it's almost he was trying to imply me and your father and your mother, we get along fine. We got a great relationship, and it's all because of the love of you, but you're the common denominator on having issues. Well, if that's the case, wouldn't the same apply to Monique? Wouldn't the same apply to Monique? See, everything that you were saying about Shalon can easily be turned around to Monique. What people are saying as far as her industry issues and how she's the common denominator. So if that's the case, wouldn't that same mirror that you put on him, you need to put that on her and you. Like, I was disgusted. I was just like, looking, my face was all scrunched up, and I said, what the hell does this have to do with anything? What does this have to do with anything? You just proved this point even more. You're constantly giving material things, but you're not giving love. And you know why? You know why? Because I don't care what Monique say. In my personal opinion, in my humble opinion, like she always likes to say, Monique don't love herself. She has a codependent personality. She don't love herself. She does not love herself. And as much as she talks about her mother, her father, but more so her mother definitely is a trigger for her. Her mother's a trigger for her. It sounds like to me she became what she despised. It sounds like to me what Shalon is saying, Monique got some of the same traits as her mother. The same traits. She has some of the same traits. And you either continue the cycle or you break the cycle. And I truly hope Shalon is breaking the cycle. Because to me, while she's so busy, Monique is so busy talking about what she went through in her childhood and how her parents weren't there, you end up turning around and it sounds like you ended up continuing that cycle. And the lack of accountability, if that's not obvious in this Instagram reply that they gave, I don't know what is. There was no sorry. It was none of that. And they talked about him, and then they started talking about Stephen A. Smith and other people. And I was just like, you know what? This is a great example of deflecting like a mofo. This is a great example. How do you have your son, your own flesh and blood, literally talk about how he has no relationship with you? There hasn't been any effort. And you pretty much say, well, this is what I did for you. You have mental health issues. Oh, but let's talk about Stephen A. Smith. And you think that makes you look good? And I'm sorry, I'm really starting to side-eye daddy 10 times more. Because my thing is this. Y'all have known each other since the 10th grade, allegedly. She says she's known him since the 10th grade. She claims, that was like her brother. But yet, she keeps saying once they got married, he helped raise her, so to speak. He helped mold her. She was so out of order when she first got married to him and out of line with the way that she spoke to him. Do you guys notice that she never said anything about him raising her or helping mold her or talking to him out of line before the marriage happened? Like, how do you have a friendship for 40 plus years and it's only until he becomes your husband that all of this takes place? Am I the only one who's seeing that? Y'all let me know. How is it that you have literally been friends with this guy since you were a teenager, but we didn't hear about him molding you and making you a better woman until the marriage happened? I'm sorry, but to me, genuine people who are trying to help you become a better person, that happens in friendships and in intimate relationships. Why is it that all of a sudden that he becomes daddy and you're married to him that all of a sudden this takes place? It doesn't make sense to me. It almost comes off as in, well, legally, officially, I got a lot of reign over you. It's in my opinion. And because now that I have that, I'm about to flip the script. Because to me, these traits that she claimed are so helpful to her, those traits should have been seen before the marriage. My humble opinion. But yet she keeps making it seem like once the marriage happened, he just became this amazing daddy. Well, where was the amazing friend beforehand? Where was the amazing friend beforehand? Because to me, you should have been able to give examples of how he was helping you even then. Let me see what you guys are saying. We need early too. Yes, I miss her. I miss her. And one thing that I can't stand is her nonsense of anytime someone says anything about Sydney, that she's like, well, where's your man? Where's your husband? Monique, I would never look to you as someone to get advice from when it comes to a man. Sorry, but again, how many good examples do you have of men in your life? I wouldn't go to you to get advice. I wouldn't. So people who truly have that codependent type of nature, they're real quick to say, well, I got a husband. I got a man. Get the hell up out of here. Like, get up out of here. Because from your father to your brothers, it's kind of scary on how you and your ex-husbands, and now you with him. Nah, I definitely, because I don't know what your definition of a good man is. I don't. I do not. But she's always saying, and granted, Tiffany Haddish did come for her, but she was like, well, if you had a husband like mine, maybe you wouldn't have 2 DUIs. If you had a man like me, we are so sad that we're getting to the point where, having a strong black man next to you, girl. This is beyond that, because we have plenty of women out there who have strong black men next to him, but Sydney seems to insert himself in every damn thing. Oh, well, because daddy's my manager. Why is he your manager? I need to see his credentials. Everyone can't be a manager in the entertainment business. They just can't. What were his credentials prior to that? Was he ever a manager before? Was he ever a manager before? And let me repeat again what the heck Shannon said to her.
He came to the other weddings. Okay. What? It was like my brother. This man, he was like my brother.
He been out hustling you for a minute, Mo.
He wasn't.
He been out hustling you for a minute, Mo. Pause. He wasn't. How do you really know, Monique? How do you really know? And see, I used to look at Monique like she was that confident big girl where you was pretty much going to accept her for who she was. She knew how to dress. She knew how to be fly. She walked in confidence. Now I'm starting to think all of that was bullshit. Sorry. All of that was bullshit, because truly more and more I'm like, what we thought Monique was back in the early 2000s, clearly that wasn't who she was. That's the persona that she wanted us to see, but that wasn't who she was, in my opinion. Yeah, I used to love Monique. I used to love Monique and support Monique in practically everything she did. I remember the reality show that she had, that Monique's Fat Chance, supported that. I supported everything that woman did, because to me, she represented that you can be confident and you can be, a big girl. Damn, am I disappointed now. I am so disappointed. Ain't nothing better than a single person being happy. A man shouldn't define someone. Exactly. And it's so interesting that she's always saying that he molded her, he raised her, he made her a better woman, but she's never talking about what she did to make herself a better woman, what she did to help her get better, what she did to be a better mother. You don't hear that. You don't hear that the work that she's doing for herself to build herself up. She's always talking about how her daddy built her up. That's a problem. You better preach, Nene. And this is the problem. He's known her long enough on what triggers her, what her weaknesses are, and how he can, in my opinion, slither his way in. Because let's be clear, where was the attraction all of those years prior? There's no way that from 14 to when they got together, I don't know if necessarily both of them were constantly in relationships where there wasn't some gap where he was able to express how he really felt. Why all of a sudden when she's in her career, the prime of her career, and all of a sudden she is single, that now you find your place in being attracted to her and liking her in that way? He's not helping her career. You don't even hear what she does for him. Exactly. Do you ever hear him say, my wife does this, my wife does that, she makes me a better man? When she's giving him all of them praises, he just sitting there. He just sits there and just takes it all in like he's the hot shit. Y'all notice that? When she sit up there and say all of that stuff, he don't say nothing. He says nothing. Charles, what do I do for you? We saw her representative. It seems like more and more we have. That's why I said this definitely comes off as the year of exposure. And again, two truths can coexist. I don't think anyone is saying that Monique possibly did, that she got played when it comes to being in the industry. You know what I mean? I'm definitely not saying that. However, you can, at this point, more and more with things happening, and even with the DL Hughley situation, when she decided to bring up the daughter, in my opinion, unnecessarily, and people even was telling her then she's going too far. Monique, in my opinion, more and more is showing her nice, nasty spirit. She has that nice, nasty spirit. And she feels like she's one of those people who feel like because she says it calm, or she'll sit up there and say, kiss my ass, my sweet babies, she think that it goes over easier. But I'm starting to think that people are seeing more and more, at least on my end, that she has that nice, nasty vibes. I can see how, to a certain extent, no one wants to be around someone who is constantly feeling like they have to say something all the time. And that's the vibes I'm getting from her at this point. She can say all day long it's because of the fact that she stands on what's right. A lot of us stand on what's right. But everything, you don't have to constantly check or say something all the time. That gets to a point where you become draining as hell. And I feel like she puts all of that energy on the industry, but yet she doesn't give. She has all of this energy for the industry, but she has no energy for her son. And it does not make any sense to me, y'all. It doesn't make any sense. Let's see how far she makes it with Kat. Oh, see, here's the thing. This is another thing that I find interesting. I feel like now that Monique is in the position that she's in, when people like a 50 Cent or a Kat do give her the opportunity, I think she know how to shut up then. I think she knows how to shut up then, because I think she is very aware who to play with and who not to play with. And what do I mean by that? We know that 50 Cent and Cat Williams ain't ones to mess with. Let her try 50 Cent in that way. He will destroy her on the internet. He will destroy her worse than he did Ja Rule. So it's funny how she knows how to play the politics on that end, because I'm sure on every set and every situation, nothing runs perfectly. I'm sure there are definitely some issues on every set. I find it interesting, though, that she made sure that she did what she needed to do and left that set, just like I'm sure she gonna make sure she stays on her P's and Q's when it comes to Kat. I'm sure she is. She's not a fool. She can't afford at this point, especially with those two who have no problem speaking their mind and will destroy her verbally. There is no way. What's it like? She's not. Monique's not stupid. She's not stupid. She likes to play stupid, but she's not stupid. And I have to agree with her son on the lack of accountability too, because when it all boils down to it, and I think D.L. Hughley and some other people said the same thing. And here's the thing. I think there's a lot of people in this industry who are self-serving and they don't take accountability. But I find it interesting that she is always expressing how everyone has done something to her. Everyone has done something to her, but yet when it comes to her son, she's silent. She's silent. You know what I mean? So let me see. You notice 50 Cent has been very quiet and she didn't bring up how he helped her on Club Shay Shay. Wonder if she tried him. If she tried him, I think 50 Cent would have exposed her. I really do. If she had tried him, I think it would have child, 50 Cent would have just left, he would have left no crumbs. If she really tried him, he would have turned her out on social media. Like he would have. So I don't think that's the case. I don't think that's the case. I think she made sure she did what she needed to do and bounce. Just like I think she's going to do the same thing with Cat Williams. You know what I mean? Because when you really think about it, I'm really starting to think, while I understand she's telling her truth, she also knows those people are not going to respond to her. See, it's one thing to keep talking when you know people aren't going to respond to you. And it's another thing to say something when you know those people like a 50 Cent or Cat Williams got time to respond back. And they will respond back. So, it's easy to constantly come at people that's not going to respond to you. It's easy to do that. You know what I mean? That's like a free-for-all. They ain't going to respond to you. So, yeah, continue to speak your truth. But let her have an issue with a 50 Cent or a Cat Williams. You think they just going to sit back and not say nothing? Hell no. They gonna give it to her. They gonna give her that same energy back. They will. They definitely will. You took the word out of my mouth. Let me see. You better ask Tara Marie about his money. Right. He's still coming at her. You think if Monique didn't try him after he gave her an opportunity that he wouldn't be like, Tyler, Oprah, y'all right? F her. Like he would have went off. He would have went off. You know what I'm saying? Like, even though 50 Cent don't like Oprah, right? Am I tripping? Doesn't he not really care for Oprah? So maybe he wouldn't have said, Oprah, you're right. But he apparently don't have no issue with Tyler Perry, because I think, if I'm not mistaken, he reached out to Tyler Perry before he gave Monique the opportunity and just wanted to check in with Tyler Perry about, his so-called beef with Monique. So, yeah. I think Monique is not dumb. I think she knows there are certain people, they may respond behind the scenes, but they're not going to respond publicly. And I think since she now is very aware that they're kind of silent, it's like a free-for-all for her to speak her mind. I'm waiting for Monique to find someone that gives the same energy as she does, because she's a fireball. I'm waiting for her to call out someone who gives her the same energy that she does. I don't think she'll do it. I don't. I really don't. But I was really disturbed by this. I was disturbed. Her son seems to be very mature. I'm sure he still has a process of healing that he has to do, especially after hearing what his mother and uncle had to say. The response pretty much saying, you financially are not stable. You couldn't even handle your own deal as far as your car is concerned, and you have mental issues. That's your response to your son and your nephew? That's really your response? It couldn't be me. It couldn't be me. And honestly, I think it was triggering because I have family members who have had that same situation with their parents, and it does cause a lot of trauma. It does. It does. It causes a lot of trauma. Hold on. Good evening, everyone from Baltimore, Maryland. Good evening. We talking about your B Moore's finest. We talking about B Moore's finest right now, child. I tell you. Good evening, and welcome. I think I haven't seen you before. Make sure you hit the like button on the way in, A Rice. Sydney, daddy is gonna be fell back with Kat and Curtis. He's gonna be yeah, he's not gonna buck them. He's not gonna buck them. And if I'm not mistaken, didn't he say that he is Greek? He's an Omega. And isn't Stephen A. Smith an Omega and D.L. Hughley an Omega? Child, when I tell you, and this is all Black History Month, y'all. Like, it's so much stuff going down in Black History Month. I tell you, this is a hot freaking mess. A hot mess. A. Rice, do you know Monique? I know Baltimore is huge. I got family from Baltimore, but I'm just curious because baby, but in Baltimore, definitely, it's a rough city. It is a rough city, even though Monique is not from the city, from my understanding. She's from the county. She's from Baltimore County. But Baltimore City, it's rough. It's definitely rough. So there's definitely a different vibe that people from Be More do have. But Monique, like, as much as I feel like, yes, I understand she was wronged, it's just crazy to me that now your son has told everyone that you have done the ultimate wrong in motherhood, and that's your response. But let's talk about it, y'all. You will become what you can't forgive. This is our mother. Rest in peace. And at the end of the day, I don't know if Monique has really forgiven her mother. And if I'm not mistaken, and someone correct me if I'm wrong, I'm going to say allegedly. Allegedly, I don't even think she went to her mother's funeral. I don't even think she went to her mother's funeral. That's deep if that's true. And that definitely comes off like you're not really forgiving that woman. So when you truly haven't done the work for you, for yourself, you become what you hate, what you despise. And maybe some of those traits that she claimed her mother and father had end up trickling down to her firstborn. Like this, that's just what it is. It just seems to be that way, in my opinion. It just seems to be that way, that this is truly that effect of the victim becoming the victimizer. And literally her carrying those generational curses down to her oldest child. Now, who's to say if she's doing that with the other children? I don't know. But what we do know is that there's definitely issues with that first child, and the fact that she literally got on live with that shitty ass daddy of hers, and it did not come off with any real genuine love. It didn't come off like, I'm so sorry. We're going to have to work through this. I love my son. None of that came out. It was like, well, what have I done for you? And what have I done this? And you a grown man and I'm still kind of taking care of you. That's the way it came off. Like, I financially still have to support you. I have to financially support you, when he said you give material things all the time. You give material things all the time. That's not what he's looking for. He's looking for you to take accountability and show him love and really work on your relationship. Yes, she is. I could always tell she was from here. She definitely has that Be More personality. Yeah, she Be More. She county though, but she Be More. She definitely is Be More. She definitely still has that Be More accent too. Interesting enough, Jada doesn't really have it. Jada to me never really had that Be More accent, and she actually from the city. But yeah, she's definitely Baltimore. She's definitely Baltimore. I wonder if she is ever going to therapy. She mentioned therapy. But as you and I both know, Nene, some people go to therapy to get the actual guidance and do the work that the therapist suggests. Some people actually go to do the work. They go to be healed. Some people do that, and some people don't. Some people just want validation. They just want their therapist to continue to tell them that they're right, and they want to seek validation. That's what they want. So you have some people who are willing to do the work, and some people who just really want to be validated with their therapist. So it makes me wonder how long she was with that therapist, and if she decided to replace that therapist with her daddy. But she does mention a therapist. Now, again, and I'm not necessarily saying her separating herself from her family is a bad idea either. I have family members I separate myself from, but I have also forgiven them, and I have to do the work every single day to continue to forgive and understand, because like she and Cindy said, Cindy, I'm gonna start calling them Cindy shit. Like she said and he said, we're human, and we're human. But it's so funny how, because your son called you out, now we're human, but you don't give that we're human, they're human to people who have apparently done you wrong, though. So you're human when your son calls you out, but when people do you dirty, they're not human. They're not human. And she can say all day long she loved them. That's her sister. That's her brother. This is why I continue to say, if you never get the apology you're going to get, when does this end? And at this point, I don't necessarily know. Now, of course, you got some people, because I think, Tashonda, you said that people were talking about him on the internet. Y'all understand that idol worship is real. You truly have people out there, because Monique is famous and Monique has over 1 million followers, they're automatically going to say that she's right. They're going to say that she's right. They're going to automatically defend her no matter what. You know what I mean? They're automatically going to defend her no matter what. Absolutely, Oprah is human. And I'm not saying Oprah is perfect by any means, but Oprah got her own trauma. Oprah easily could be someone who was a victim who became a victimizer. She got her own trauma. You know what I mean? So it's interesting that, she wants to hold them accountable for how they did her, but she doesn't want to hold herself accountable for the trauma that she put on her own child. Like, she's been talking about this lack of relationship for years, and y'all haven't been able to mend anything yet because you're too busy trying to be Monique the comedian, and Monique that's been done wrong by Black Hollywood. And just recently, she doubled down on what she said for them to suck her peen if she had one. I think she even mentioned suck the other stuff too. So, it's just crazy to me. You do have people who have that mentality where you need to forgive me when I do you wrong, but when you do me wrong, all hell is going to break loose. That's the vibes that she gives me. That's the vibes that she gives me. And she does give me vibes that she don't know how to apologize either. So my whole thing is this. You can expect to get an apology from Tyler Perry and Oprah Winfrey and other people that have done you wrong when you can't even apologize to people you've done wrong. You know what I mean? And you want a public apology when it comes to Oprah and Tyler Perry. Your son just aired you out about the lack of mothering you did with him. Where's his public apology? I mean, hell, because you did put him in an interview and talked about him in interviews before. Where's his public apology? Where's his public apology? So on that note, let me see. Oh, yeah, I forgot about that. Yes, they were. And that video they did just further showed her son, he means nothing to her. You see how it was a quick don't you know who my daddy is? He your uncle too. You know all the stuff I done did for you. He said she would sit up there when I guess didn't necessarily care for the material things. She would talk about how ungrateful I am. She and Sydney, they just proved it. They proved everything that guy he said. Shalon said everything that guy said. They proved it, and I don't even think they realize it. I don't even think they realize how they exposed themselves, because they did. They really did. But with that being said, you guys, anybody else want to comment on the situation? I mean, I think we all have known or have experienced some type of trauma when it comes to family or whatever the case may be. But the whole point is you have to break the cycle. You have to. You know what I mean? You have to break the cycle. And part of breaking the cycle is admitting and restoring a broken relationship, admitting it's broken and restoring it. And I believe the son. I do. I believe him. I believe that she hasn't made an effort. I believe her world starts and ends with Mr. Hicks and her sons over there. I truly do. What he said, she decided she wanted to start being a mother once she had his kids. It does seem believable. I'm sorry. And and also the response is, things will come to light. Things will come to light. Well, things will come to light when it comes to this situation, but you made sure you forced everything to come to light with Tyler Perry, Oprah, Lee Daniels, and Netflix. You forced those things to come to light by constantly telling us what happened and showing receipts. But when it comes to your son, wait to see things come to light, because you're not going to say anything. But at the same time, he has mental health issues and financially you're constantly helping him. Does that make sense, y'all? Hell no, it don't make sense. Let me see. Forgive people. Yeah, you have to. And trust me, it's hard. I have to say a forgiveness prayer a lot because it can be hard. But again, forgiveness is really about you, not them. Because if you keep that hatred in your heart, it can truly trickle down to people that you don't want it to trickle down to. And she wasn't led to try to reconcile knowing she has a grand. Exactly. And a girl at that. She don't have, remember, she only has sons. She don't have a daughter. You would think she would want to protect that granddaughter at all costs because of the things that she went through as a little girl herself. You would think that she would truly, that would be the moment to embrace her son and work through their issues so she can have a relationship with that sweet baby. Now that's a real deal sweet baby. That's a real deal sweet baby. So while they always have receipts, I would love to see the receipts of you interacting with your son in a positive way. I would love to see the receipts of you trying and saying, I'm trying my best for us to work things out. I love you. I would love to see the receipts of you continuing to ask if you could see your granddaughter. Pull those receipts out, baby. Pull those out. You give out receipts for everything else industry-wise. Pull those receipts out. Let's see them. Let's hear them. Then I will literally have a different perspective. Other than that, Monique and Sydney, y'all coming off like y'all ain't shit. Y'all coming off like y'all truly lack accountability. And you're coming off like the people that you constantly want to expose. It sounds like you have some of those same traits. It really does. It sounds like you have some of those same traits. So I want to see those damn receipts. That's what I want to see. You forgive someone, but that doesn't mean you have to allow them back in your life. Absolutely. I always say forgiveness and redemption are two totally different things. I have forgiven people, but that doesn't mean they're going to be redeemed. That doesn't mean they need to be in my life. Forgiveness and redemption are two totally different things. But we're talking about Monique. I don't think she's ever forgiven. I don't think she has ever forgiven. And because of that, it sounds like she brought that monster vibes to her own son. And usually a lot of the time, the oldest one in the family of the siblings does kind of get the worst of the worst. Because, that's the first one that teaches them how to be a parent or lack thereof. So I'm sure he's the one who went through the most because I don't know how old Monique was when she had him, but I'm gonna assume she was quite young. I'm gonna assume she was pretty young. And also another thing, this is her third marriage, fourth marriage. That's another sign of codependency. I'm not trying to sit up there and diss anyone who's been married 3 or 4 times, but when you start getting it's 1 or 2, yeah, I get it. First time, and then the second time, you do everything right. But when you get into 3, 4, 5, 6, it does give all codependency. I'm sorry, it just does. It just does, where it seems to me that you need to do the groundwork in yourself. And if you do the groundwork in yourself, you'll attract the right guy or woman. I'm sorry. Hey, it is what it is. Some people may get offended, but when I start hearing, oh, this is my third, fourth, fifth marriage, I'm nervous. Okay. I'm nervous. When people start talking about the universe, they trying to put child. And you notice he kept saying that. You kept saying you praying to the universe or you giving it to the universe. And you can tell that he is God focused because he mentioned God. But every time he said the universe, he kind of smirked like, yeah, you in this universe. You could tell that they have probably different beliefs also. They have different beliefs. I truly feel like Monique at her age is still very lost, codependent, and it definitely, and again, does that mean that she still wasn't screwed over? No. We've heard about the blackball world in this industry. We're not stupid, but at the same time, you're not making it better with you not healing yourself and healing your personal life. You're not making it better. So honestly, I'm kind of low key. Sorry, you guys. It's been a long day. I'm stumbling over my words sometimes. I'm kind of low key glad Shalon exposed her. Timing may be a little weird, like I said, but it needed to be said. It needed to be said because at this point, we are really starting to see Monique and Sydney and how they get down. Because this isn't the first time that they tried to turn around and expose something that really wasn't their business to expose. Hence the D.L. Hughley situation with his daughter. Yes, he talked about the story, but at the same time, that wasn't your place to take that bit of a story and just truly Monique is one of those people where the sink could be leaking in your house, and instead of fixing the sink, she gonna burn the whole house down. She just gonna burn the house down. She takes something so little and make it so big, and she gonna burn everyone around her. Like, I wouldn't even trust to have a conversation with Monique and have a one-on-one with her, because she the type where she'll just expose everything that you said. Like, she definitely comes off as that girl that you got to be very mindful of what you say around her. Very mindful of what you say around her, because she'll throw you under the bus in a heartbeat if it means that, it's going to help her in the situation. She'll throw you under the bus. And some people deserve to be thrown under the bus because they just ain't good people. But Monique seemed like that type that she'll screw over anyone except her daddy. But on that note, with that being said, you guys, I appreciate you guys for coming to this live. This was definitely triggering. This was annoying as hell. I don't know if anybody wants to come up to kind of speak their piece for a couple of minutes. Let me know. But their response, it wasn't a good response, y'all. It was not a good response. Their response just really showed even more why maybe people don't want to deal with Monique and her husband. That's the thing. It really exposed that. There's no other nice way to put it. It really exposed why some people don't want to deal with them. So I hope in her best interest that there are still people out there after the Cat Williams situation. Maybe she'll get it together and start doing, specials like Cat Williams. But from my understanding, her last special with Netflix wasn't even that funny. So if that's the case, baby, maybe she needs to get rid of the comedy part and really focus on, the acting and stuff at this point. If somebody will hire her, because she is a phenomenal actor. Remember, she said she tell everything. Yeah, and she said it would as if it was a joke, but in every joke there's truth. In every joke, there's truth. So yeah, she definitely is somebody that a lot of people will probably want to keep their distance, because even if they say to her, Monique, you're right, we are underpaid. Monique, you're right, I was allegedly screwed over by one of the people that you talked about, she's not going to hold it. She's going to air it out, in my opinion. She's going to air it out. It was weird. I don't think his timing has an ulterior motive. I just feel like he just got triggered finally with the SA survivors wait years sometimes. Yeah, that's true. It could be. I just found it interesting that it was right after the D.L. Hughley. It wasn't right after the Club Shay Shay. It was not right after that. It was after D.L. Hughley made his comments. You know what I mean? Like it, because to me, Club Shay Shay, that next day, he could have easily sat up there and spoke his piece. But like you said, it could have just been that he finally decided that he was going to be bold enough to say how he felt. That's true. I just kind of was like, oh, okay, after D.L. Hughley speaks, you say something. But you have a point. You have a point. Maybe his mother talking to 11 plus million people made him finally say enough is enough. Like, you are not really trying to make an effort in being my mother and correcting your wrongs. It was like some weird press break. Yes, very. So on that note, you guys, as usual, the special was trash. Yeah, I keep hearing that. I didn't even bother watching it. The last time I watched Monique do a comedy special, or even just a comedy, like she was on stage, was when she was clowning D.L. Hughley. That was the last time. Like, I think at the end of the day, she has to do comedy at this point because that's her bread and butter. But I think she truly wanted to switch over to being an actress full time and really just doing that forever versus doing stand-up comedy. Because stand-up comedy does wear on your body. All of that traveling and stuff, even Cat Williams said that, like, that takes a lot. And especially when you get older and you're a mother and stuff like that, that does do a lot. I would suggest, though, and this is the last thing I'm going to say, I would suggest that since you claim that's your daddy need to be a damn provider versus making money off of you. That's what I would say. Your daddy needs to be a provider, okay? Part of manhood is being a provider, and a provider shouldn't be making his money off of your talent. A provider should have his own successful business or job. That's what he should be doing. But we don't know what his background is or what he was doing prior to being her manager, nor do we know if he even had experience. But I'm sorry, the last time I checked, a man being a provider, he makes his own money. Most men I know, they don't want to make money off of their women. They make the money, they bring it home to the woman and the children. They not trying to make money off of their women. The only ones I know who do that are PIMPs. Those are the only guys I know who want to make money off of their women. So on that note, you guys, I appreciate you guys coming. Please like, share, and subscribe. And I will see you on my next video. Toodles.